And I thought it'd be nice to have something with a little dark depth and power to it, something with some sock, that weren't just little girls, but had some element of being women and being tough. It's All Coming Back to Me Now is my attempt to write the most passionate romantic song I could ever write. I was writing it while under the influence of Wuthering Heights, which is one of my favorite books, and it's always made much too polite. It always has been in the movies, and this is in the Wuthering Heights of Kate Bush, that little fanciful Wuthering Heights. This is like the scene they always cut out of Wuthering Heights is the scene where Heathcliff digs up Catherine's body and actually dances in the moonlight on the beach with it. And I just think you can't get more extreme, more operatic or passionate than that. And I was trying to write a song about dead things coming to life. I was trying to write a song about being enslaved and obsessed by love, not just enchanted and happy with it. It was about the dark side of love, but about the extraordinary ability to be resurrected by it once dead. And I just tried to put everything I could into it, and I'm real proud of it. I did all these projects over the years and kept looking out for girls to work with. And finally, in the past year and a half, found 4 girls who I thought were extraordinary. Elaine Caswell deserves some sort of Purple Heart because she sang It's All Coming Back to Me Now and collapsed about 5 times while singing it. It's amazingly hard to sing. She's a great singer, someone totally new who nobody knows, and she looks like an avenging angel, and I think she's great. I didn't want to have the Supremes. I didn't want to have 3 background singers and 1 lead singer. There are 4 lead singers. And they do sing in the background, but everyone sings leads on the album. It's split up about 2 apiece. Ellen Foley, I met when I did Meatloaf in Bat Out of Hell and Paradise by the Dashboard Light, and she's about as powerful a performer. I remember everyone knows that there are things called stand-up comics, and when I first saw Ellen Foley perform, I thought she was a stand-up tragedian. She's just, if she stands there, she's immediately something tragic about her, but she's so funny and so tough. She's the toughest girl I had ever met, and she should have been in the Shangri-Las, but she was much too young. These girls, 4 of them, are the centerpiece of this group, and I do the keyboards and arrange, write and produce, wash the clothes, do the underwear. And there's a band too, 6 guys backing them up, but the key to it is really the girls. Gina Taylor, an amazing, amazing singer. Saw her first doing Tina Turner in a sleazy club. She did Tina Turner as well as Tina ever did, I think. Brilliant, brilliant, powerful, fiery singer, just amazing. The band is a great band. The band is all pretty much teenage boys because the girls demanded it, and that was part of their contract. Deliria Wilde was in a nunnery 5 years ago, studying to be a nun, was kicked out for something I could not possibly even mention. It was so shocking even to myself. She's one of the coolest singers I've ever known, of Cuban, French, Italian, German descent, in that order, and she sings on the album, and she's the most amazing dancer I've ever seen, and I think that a gynecologist should really examine how she can do those things. But the point being, what is the point? The point is that in the album I was trying to get some real dark, erotic music and lyrics that was about how dangerous in a really seductive and important way, the best kind of unsafe, necessarily unsafe way that love can work. And I really thought you needed girls to do that. It Just Won't Quit is about the fact that there are some things you never shake off, and well, it's like the song, Addicted to Love is what it's about. And it's about, there's a key line in there, is this a blessing or is it a curse? Can it get any better? Can it get any worse? And my favorite line, is it richer than diamonds or just a little bit cheaper than spit? I don't know what it is, but it just won't quit. And that's love, I guess. Pandora's Box seemed like a good title because it seemed like a good modern image of, going back to opening the box and all the sins of the world pouring out. I love the idea of a box that opens up and all the sins of the world come out of it, because it seems to me, as well as being a terrifying box, that's also a treasure chest, because the one place, if you were really honest, that you'd keep all the sins of the world would be in a treasure chest, because it's something you absolutely would have to be, you'd want to hand down from generation to generation, because without all the sins of the world, there wouldn't be all the blessings of the world. They're part of the same thing. I guess it gets back to the fact that I suspect it's not always easy to recognize what a sin is, in the same sense that a beautiful new car can kill someone on a highway, but it's still a beautiful car. I think Pandora's Box is a beautiful, terrifying, dark, and incredibly beautifully illuminated place. And that's really where it all started, trying to do an album like that, plus include the sound of motorcycles. Motorbikes, I love motorbikes. I think they're great. I used to dream about motorcycles reproducing in the alleys in the night and wondering what it would sound like and whether they would come up with little small bikes in the morning and how they'd look if they were pregnant. I used, on Original Sin, I used 35 motorcycles, recorded them, and made a chord out of them. and it was one of the greatest sounds I've ever heard, but no one's going to hear it because the console blew up and I couldn't use it. But the whole record seems to me to be in a little way like a motorcycle, an erotic motorcycle. It's a machine out of control, which is sort of what the human heart is. And the entire album uses spoken word a lot, too, which I've always loved since The Doors. The Want Ad is a spoken piece that Ellen Foley does that's probably going to bother a lot of people, but I think it's pretty neat. You really have to envision a teenage girl speak. I'll do it. Sort of incantation-like spoken word, chant-like, ritualistic. Being kind of a frustrated druid. This is the one ad. Imagine that teenage girl. This is addressed to all the people who answered, or may be thinking of answering, the personal ad I placed in Volume 2, Number 15 of this newspaper 2 weeks ago Friday. First, my apologies to the huge bartender with the voice and the light-hearted, dark-skinned advertising man. If either of you had called me back, I might not be writing this retraction of my ad, even though I will soon be too busy to date much. But why didn't you call back? But to the others, which include the two terrifying sisters, the under 18s and over 60s, the numerous ones who dialed my number and hung up as soon as I said hello, the 35 or 40 of you who made dates with me and never showed up, including the one who complained his body was so powerful he couldn't control it anymore, the desperate wife-seekers, the already married, that one who was so one-sided that he could think of nothing but sex, and then had the gall to ask me if his nationality was the reason I wouldn't sleep with him, the many who couldn't get it up when I was agreeable, and the many who could and did when I was not, the pleasant young foreigner who turned out to be the private property of his gigantic girlfriend, the ones who were so grotesque in their appearance that I couldn't possibly get past their faces to even consider a relationship with them, especially sexual, the sharks and the geeks and the sadists, the latter category which I had specifically stated I didn't want, and the ones who wanted endlessly dirty talk, the ones who wanted to be punished, the ones who could only boast about the size of the bankrolls and other equipment, and this definitely includes the teacher who said, all the kids want my stuff, the businessman who had an adjective for every letter of his last name, R is for rich, the pathetic little husband who was nothing more than a vegetable and his vegetarian wife, the ones, and there were many, who said, my name is so-and-so, how far do you go? The 300-pound lady judge who screamed abuse at me, the transvestite who wanted me to support him, the numerous young studs who had nothing to offer besides the negative results of their goddamn blood tests, the diminutive actor and the other short ones, the astronomer who cried like a baby and said he had been betrayed by every star he ever knew, the fanatic priest who wanted me to confess to things I had never even dreamed of, the worn-out soldiers, the burned-out poets, the pumped-up jocks and the used-up kids, the racists, including the one in whose place I left my white sweater, and I'd rather cut off my right thumb than go back for it, the drunks, junkies, crack, and cokeheads, the multitude of liars, and especially the nice ones who never called back. To all of you I say, just forget my phone number. I don't need all the hassles. I'll be starting school next month, and I just don't want to be bothered. Don't hold your breath, any of you. Sincerely, the underweight platinum blonde. Have a nice day. I think it's a single.